Hi, everybody. I know people are going to be coming in, so we'll repeat some of this and we'll keep it really concise because we have such a packed panel of amazing people tonight. So we want to let them do most of the talking. I dropped our website into the chat, so everyone has that. It's triplethreat.us. If you want to revisit anything I'm going to tell you right now. Our Instagram is at Triple Threat Academy CT. That tends to be where we share the most information. Just to give you a little bit of a summary of what we do, we offer in-person classes in Westport, Connecticut for all ages, and also coaching in Dallas and in New York City, virtual voice lessons, and other virtual classes. Right now, we have a voiceover workshop going with LA voiceover superstar actor Charlie Schlatter. He's amazing. Cynthia periodically teaches a pro actor kid and actor teen class. That's also for anyone who's really serious or aspiring to be a professional, and really anyone in this talk who's considering pursuing this after college. Obviously, you're all serious about it. So that is something that's a really amazing opportunity. Probably in the fall, right, Cynthia? Will be the next time that is offered. Cynthia's teaching in Italy this spring. I don't know if any spots are left for that trip.
Where in Italy?
Like really, really amazing. I'm super jealous. So of course we offer college prep, anything from helping you decide between BA or BFA or maybe some combination. We have a couple students coming on later who did both processes. Very brave. And we cover, picking your putting together your college list, picking your material, coaching, taping pre-screens. And I oddly find it super rewarding to do the meticulous, tedious, crazy editing of pre-screen videos. So that's my area of expertise. And yeah, the pre-screen videos, we'll get into all that. There's a lot that goes into it that you'll learn. Yeah, all of that's on our site. If you go to our site, you'll find the college audition prep tab that'll tell you what we do. Yeah, I think I'm going to introduce Cynthia Gibb, who is the founder of Triple Threat Academy. She is a Golden Globe nominated actress for the lead role in Gypsy opposite Bette Midler. No joke. And was a series regular on all of the seasons of Fame except the first season. So basically, I watched her every week of my teenage life. And we've been working together for 10 years, but I'm really only sort of getting over the, Cynthia Gibb, she went out with Chris Atkins. Michael's laughing. So she's amazing. She has been studying voice since her 20s and vocal pedagogy for 20 years, maybe more than that, and teaching voice for 15 years is so amazing about vocal health. I've had a lot of experience with that because my kids are professional actors. You maybe will meet some of them later. Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Cynthia, and she's going to introduce the amazing Michael Rafter.
Hi, everybody. I joined Fame on season 3, actually 3. I missed 1 and 2. And then I didn't stay on until, I don't know how those kids still stayed in high school for as long as that show stayed on the air. But anyway, they stayed back because they were doing the arts and they failed math, I guess. I don't know. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Michael Rafter, Sutton Foster's musical director. He's been the musical director of over 11 Broadway shows, including most recently Funny Girl. He's MD'd and music supervised for countless off-Broadway shows, tours, concerts. And as Jill just mentioned, it was my honor to work with Michael on the Bette Midler production of Gypsy for CBS, for which he won an Emmy. He is currently associate professor at Ball State University. And Michael, we are going to turn it over to you to get a piece of your ultimate and endless wisdom.
Hello, everybody. As Cynthia said, yes, I'm a conductor, music director, pianist, arranger. If you have any questions about what any of that means, please let me know. I'm associate professor here at Ball State. I work primarily in the theater and dance department. but every once in a while I'm on loan to the music department and teach like a commercial music design course over there. Here in the music theater department, actually, and the reason I'm here at Ball State is Sutton. Sutton started here, I believe it's now 10 years ago, 10 or 11, as adjunct. And then her second year dragged me in with her. And we created a one class, a cabaret class for the musical theater seniors in their fall year. And they create a cabaret over the entire fall semester via different assignments that we give them. And then they get to perform it at the cabaret in Indianapolis in January, and then in March at Joe's Pub in New York City. Anyway, so I joined, my her second year, I was adjunct, and then 2019 came and a full-time position opened up, and they offered it to me, and they were willing to work with my schedule, and thank God it all worked out. And I said yes, because 2020, as we all know, Broadway just stopped, and all of my friends just were out of work, and thank God I had a job with benefits and that I loved. I've always wanted to teach. I didn't know if it would come at me this early, but anyway, it did. I teach mostly, let me see, an ensemble singing class. I teach an auditions class that I introduced here at Ball State that I co-teach with two other people, one from the acting department, somebody from the dance department. And so it's a holistic approach to auditions and getting people ready to get out into the real world, and what that means. I also teach / work on the music direct, the Chicago and New York showcases. As I said, I teach the cabaret class with a couple other people. I'm an accompanist for a voice teacher. Here we have 6 voice teachers here. Just a real quick, I don't know how many, do you know about the Unifieds and the Moonifieds and all the other, okay. It's a one-stop shopping, and for those, I just wanted to quickly introduce the idea of what it is. Yes. Because not everybody can afford, I certainly couldn't when I was looking at colleges. It's one-stop shopping. It's kind of like if you're into athletics, the NFL Combine in February, where you all come to, they have them, help me out here, Cynthia, New York City, Chicago, and LA, I believe. And basically they're about 25, I think, universities, and you get to go in one ballroom and audition for Ball State, and then you get to go into another one and audition for wherever. And it's great because you get to just fly to that one place, to Chicago or LA. There's been an offshoot of that. I don't know if you about the Moonifieds, which I think are held in Dallas, I want to say.
I was going to say, I know there's one in Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a slightly larger. It's like, I think 30 or 40 universities. But that's a little different. They hook you up with a college audition coach. That's a whole other, anyway, look these things up if you're at all interested. But I wanted enough about me and the program. Are there any, can we open up to questions, Cynthia, or how would you like to?
We don't have time for questions per se, but we do have questions for you. Because we have a packed panel, we've tried to divvy up as much of the questions across the board as possible so that people aren't overlapping with their information. We do want to know specifics about Ball State, if there are special things at Ball State that you would like to highlight. And then I do have a question about pre-screens. Does Ball State have pre-screens?
We do not have pre-screens. They're looking into that though, because the numbers have been changing. They call it the Sutton Foster effect. It's just been, the numbers have been growing and growing, and so it's getting a bit unwieldy. As far as so Ball State, I'll focus in, I guess, almost on the performance degrees. You can get a BFA in the MTO, which is the music theater option, or AO, acting option. You can also, there are dance majors and design technology BFAs. There's also BS and BA, Bachelor of Art, Bachelor of Science, in other, such as there's a teaching major, there's theater creations. But performance-wise, music theater and acting option, again, you're going to hear from, I'm sure there are amazing programs throughout this country. And for those of you that are parents, you've at least at some point you've rented an apartment or bought a house or searched for a babysitter. It's finding the right fit. And so you just remember, I guess, when you do go into audition for these places, you're auditioning them as much as they're auditioning you. So you really want to get a feel for and you please go in there with some questions, and maybe get to meet some of the other students. And you'll get a feel for the different programs. There are a lot of excellent programs. One thing that attracted me and Sutton to Ball State, Bill Jenkins is the head of the theater department, and it's a trickle-down theory. If you have a good egg at the top, it's going to work out really beautifully as far as the people that you choose to surround yourself with. And so we certainly put that above being the best, having the best voice, or being able to do the most fouettes or pirouettes. If you're a good person, that counts much more. We've all seen it. Cynthia, I don't need to, yeah. There, you can be the greatest, but if you're a pain in the butt, we don't want you in the room. And that's Sutton's famous quote, is that she's like, just don't be a pain in the, don't. Be a good egg. You want to be kept in the room. You want to be some of what we want to work with, much less spend 4 years with at the university.
That's such a good point. We're performers are very replaceable, very replaceable. And if you got two people who are equivalently talented and one is a pleasure to be with and one is a nightmare, the nightmare is out. Yes, because we spend our hours at work long. It's a long day, and you don't want to, it's like anybody going to work. You don't want to be with somebody who's unpleasant and makes your life difficult, I do have a question for you, and actually we're going to throw this to all the panelists. Any big do's or don'ts with regard to auditions that you want to share? Because that really is a biggie. And you already touched on attitude. That was excellent. Do you recommend headshots at this stage? Do people need to be shelling out money for professional headshots?
Again, in a way, I'm not the person to really ask that. The directors and choreographers care much more about that. But in general, just so long as you have a picture that really looks like you. It's crazy to go out and spend a lot of money. Not at this point. That's I think a lower priority. As far as do's and don'ts, don't ever apologize. Accept that you're going to make mistakes. You're going to go up on lyrics. You're going to fall on your face. It happens nightly on Broadway. It's how you cover and how you react and take control of it. If it's some little blub and you want to just continue singing, great. But if you want to stop and say, listen, may I please start again? Again, it's your time in the room. So don't give, I don't want to say don't give the power away, but as I said, you're auditioning them just as much as, and if they literally are people behind the table say, no, I don't want to, just keep going. Or if they just brush you off, well, then I don't think you really want to spend so much time with them. So that I would say is a big do or don't. Make sure you know everything in your book. Don't bring in a book with 50 songs, but bring in enough material. And that's contrasting that you do know. Don't bring in something in that book that they can't leaf through and go, oh, let's try this. And you go, I haven't sung that in 6 years. So
yeah,
that's what comes to and as soon as you walk in the room, the audition begins. So how you carry yourself, leave all the other mishigas outside. And it sounds so easy and basic, but I was doing Sweet Charity with Christina Applegate, and we were only a couple months in, and somebody from the ensemble had to give their notice. And this young guy came in, sang terrific. I said, great, listen, would you please vocalize for me? And he said, why? I said, well, because I want to hear a little range, but I also want to see some technique things. Well, do I have to? He said. I said, no, you just have to get out of here. I said, nobody wants to work with you. So just, again, whether he had a bad experience on the subway or whatever it was, that don't bring it into the room. Just come in and be ready to play in the sandbox.
That's awesome. That's a perfect place to end. And if people do have questions for Michael, you can put them in the chat. And then, Michael, I can throw some things to you in an email later.
That's great. I'm sorry, I have to head to a rehearsal.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We got a packed schedule. I really, really am grateful for your time. We all are. So it's so nice to see
Thank
you
you.
again. It's been a
Thank,
while. All right.
take care. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Rocker, are you around? I see you're in the room. You can, if you hear, yay! Okay. I am now thrilled to be introducing my friend and colleague, Rocker Veresti, currently teaching at Point Park University and Carnegie Mellon University. He has appeared on Broadway in shows such as Phantom of the Opera and Chicago. He's performed and choreographed more shows than I have time to list here. Thank you very much. He was also a member of American Ballet Theater. Rocker and I were both hired by Kennedy Center honoree Debbie Allen to be on the series Fame, and Rocker and I worked together for 3 years on that show, and he's an extraordinary dancer. And Rocker, take it away. We'd love to hear from you.
Hi, Cynthia. Hi, guys.
Hi,
It's a pleasure
Rocker.
to be here with you. Hello, hello, friend. You guys, first of all, I'm thrilled to be here, and Cynthia's my girl. We both started season 3 of Fame together, so we go back to when we were really young, and I know I was really naive to the business when I first started, but yeah, I've had an incredible ride. I've gotten to do everything I've ever dreamed of doing and more, and now I'm professor at Point Park and soon to be Carnegie Mellon University. So really glad to be here. I come from this as I was a dancer first, ballet all the way. And Debbie Allen found me. I was like the token ballet boy, me and Nina Goldman. We came and I on Fame was like really was my college years of learning to do jazz, which I found I was really proficient at, and went on to do like so much. But now as an educator, I find like as a triple threats go, dance is usually one of the last, the least things. They're usually great singers, great actors. Dancing skills are always a little, not always, but usually are the ones that need help. So I come at it from that aspect of trying to get people their dance skills up because, I mean, like, yes, I was in American Ballet Theater, but you don't need to be that great of a dancer to be on Broadway. I mean, you have to like, one of my shows I did, I was jazz captain of Carousel at Lincoln Center, and I had Audra McDonald in my chorus with Brian Darcy James, and they weren't ballet dancers, but we got them through it, and it was just enough to be able to do it. And of course, they went on to great heights. But as with Brian, he was the Billy understudy, so he just needed to be well enough for the chorus to be able to understudy the lead, and as same with Audra McDonald. But so I go at this aspect of just trying to shore up their technique. I would say, like, as far as high school years goes, you need to start right away. I mean, if to be a triple threat, you can't be lax on anything, and dancing skills, it's not going to happen overnight. So you have to like just start training as much as you can. And I come in, if you have to pick or choose what to do, I would say ballet, because I teach ballet, I teach musical theater, I teach tap, I teach jazz, I teach it all. But if you had to choose one, trying to get as much technique you can for gives you more bang for your dollar. If you're going to, take the time and be in class, and you can use your core in so many different ways. Ballet just gives you really good fundamentals of everything, and then we can mess it up with jazz. And but I would say for high school kids, start getting some sort of dance training as soon as you can, because if you're going into this business, first of all, I know you're going to be able to sing, because I wouldn't do it if I couldn't. And as far as acting takes place at, the one thing that gets me is at auditions or presentations is people don't act when they dance, especially dancers are the worst. So I'm like, I go to the school, like, you have to act, even if it's a ballet combination, I'm acting, I'm it's all an attitude. I'd go to New York auditions and I would see my friends, like we would do the ballet call and I would go, oh my God, that was so good. And then I realized they were acting throughout the whole thing. They were acting like this grandeur, and how like just that attitude can like get you through the audition. So, I would say ballet, 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 if you can, but as much dance as you can in your high school years. One of the questions you guys asked me was about what do you do if you haven't had a lot of dance training? Say you're a junior who has literally no dance training or very little. It's not too late. You just have to start. Um, your years in college are going to help fill up the holes in your abilities, where you need to, if you really focus them. Like if it's dance training, yeah. So you have 4 years of college to get as much technique as you can in those 4 years. And like doing shows on Broadway, you're going to use your skills in so many different ways. And it's just about trying to get a well-rounded, be well-rounded as much as you can to be able to do any style, any era, because Broadway is everything. You get to do every style and era that was ever been created by man or the future. So you just got to be really versatile. And so a really good technique will help present that and just get your body moving so you can figure out your musicality, your artistry. You got to act while you dance. And as you show up as much technique as you can, and then the hard problem is maintaining it. Like I would go to class in New York, and there's all the old divas in ballet class with me, just still like trying to, keep what they got going. And it's never ending how you have to like always, keep maintaining. As far as the dancing point, headshots, I'm a director choreographer. So I like headshots, and I know when you're in high school, like, first of all, you're changing, you're growing up. Your headshots, it doesn't need to be a great headshot, but something that does look like you, until a later time when you can do like your commercial headshot, your different looks that you want to sell for yourself. And the moment you walk into that room, you're on. They're watching how you learn the combination, how you pick it up, how your attitude is. Are you I learned lots of lessons the hard way. I'm like, this is my resting pose. And until I became in the other room, people always thought I had attitude because just how I listened and learned combinations. And I realized how my physicality can like turn somebody off because they think I'm judging. They think or whatever they're thinking, it's not the case. So I had to retrain myself how to just stand there and be present in the room and be positive and not give any inkling that of what they thought had an attitude of, things like that. But I didn't learn that. I learned that in the room, like people saying, take your hands off your hips. I was like, okay. But that was a big one for me, and then learning how to ingratiate yourself with the choreographer by being helpful and not being the one with their hands on the hips, but actually being the one to facilitate them if they needed any assistance. I'd be the first to volunteer and go, I think that count was that you did was so-and-so, or that step you just were stuck on, that was great. If the choreographer allows any sort of collaboration. But these are things like, because once they trust you in the room, that's everything. I mean, when you're trying to be creative in a room and you have people there that are helpful and up and positive, it's everything to like be creative. So those people I would like hire over and over again. Maybe they're not the best singers, the best dancers, but in a room, they're everything to be creative. So coming from it as a director choreographer, I would say really just like, be careful how you're perceived, because it may not be true, but it might be the perception. So you got to watch all those little ticks that you might do that, will help you be seen as who you really are, and always act.
I'm going to jump in here, Rocker.
Yes.
You are amazing, but our next program head has a hard out because he's in the middle of a rehearsal.
Okay, guys.
So
It's been my pleasure, guys. Good luck. Good luck. Love you so much, guys.
Ricky Loftus-George, you're on deck. I just want to make two comments before we move on, and that is that this talk is definitely for students that are also just applying for acting. So don't think we're not going to cover that. We're absolutely going to be covering acting as well. And a lot of what you're hearing, everything that Rocker just said, whether you're in a dance call or whether you're in doing, an acting monologue, the attitude stuff applies across the board. Pre-screens, for those who don't know what that is, those are videos that a lot of the schools ask you to submit ahead of time as sort of your first round. And then the people they like are invited back for an audition, either virtually or in person. Ricky Loftus-George, are you in the house?
I am. Hello.
Hey, hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's great to see you. So Ricky is the co-founder and the director of the dance department for Norwalk Conservatory. Is that right? Did I have that right?
Yeah, the Norwalk Conservatory of the Arts.
And this school opened in 2022, or at their first class. I mean, there was a whole history behind it, which I could go into, but these guys are the real deal. Happens to be just one town over from us. And they hit the radar so quickly because their access to the industry and a different angle of actually encouraging kids to audition while they're still in school. So I think those are the points I wanted to hit. Oh, I did want to say I just saw their performance of A Chorus Line. It was unbelievable, one of my favorite shows, and I loved it. So I can't wait to watch all of your shows, and that they're right down the street here in Connecticut is awesome. We're about an hour from New York, so that ties into what you're going to hear about access to the industry. Tell the audience, Ricky, what makes NOCO different.
Yeah, well, I'm actually in tech right now for our spring play, Peter and the Starcatcher. So that's why I'm in this weird closet, trying to find a quiet space. But yeah, NOCO, it really is just a special, weird, magical place. I say weird because it's not the norm. We join many of these panels, and we're up against teachers who have worked at colleges that have been around for a really long time, and they have great name and great establishment. And we come in as like a new baby, and we have some different rules and different things that we like to do here. None of are perfect, none are right or none are wrong. We just do things a little differently. We're not tuition dependent as a school. So that's something that some colleges are, and obviously they would love for you to finish out your 4 years there, 3 years, whatever it is. And we're just a 2-year program. That's the biggest difference about us. We're a 2-year associate's degree program. We encourage you to audition while you're at school. So that means if you start in September and you book a Broadway show in November, guess what? You can leave and go and do that Broadway show, and good for you, and make 6 figures and have a wonderful time. You don't have to stay with us for the 2 years. We'll work with you on how to get your degree at the same time as working professionally. But we strongly believe that if you're going to school to do something like Broadway and you book Broadway in your second month, then great. Like, that's what you came to the school for. We are just outside of the city, a 45-minute train journey, which makes it really easy for us to bring in instructors who are currently in the industry. We feel very strongly about that. On a weekly basis, our kids are working with directors, choreographers, agents, casting agencies, you name it, anything that you can think of to do with the industry. Also for television and film. So we have a television and film program. So working with voiceovers, teachers, casting directors. Our kids just went to LA to showcase for their TV film showcase. So working with agencies in LA as well as agencies in New York. some of the teachers that we bring in, like just this last week, Chris Bailey, who is the choreographer of Back to the Future, because he was looking for some more Back to the Future cast positions. So some of our kids got called in for that, which is very exciting. We just had the resident choreographer of The Outsiders in about 3 weeks ago, and now 7 of our kids are in final callbacks for the Outsiders tour. So things like that, opportunity where the teachers are really active in the industry right now, and they see our kids in like a 1 to 16 setting. We only take 16 in each major, so you're never in a class of more than 16 people. And so the teacher really gets to understand you as a person. If you're right for a project that they're working on, they usually bring you in. That's the kind of connection that we're looking for to set you up with at the school. We bring in agencies. So hopefully the goal is that you have an agent within like the first 2 or 3 months of you starting the school. That way your agent can actively work with you and take you for appointments and things like that whilst you're still at school. So you're able to take time out of school to go into your appointment in the city. Around, I want to say 3 people out of this year, our year is 48. And only 3 people didn't get signed by an agency. So we're at around 45 people at the moment, and we still have 2 months to go to get those other 3 an agent. So we're still working on it. But yeah, so I think those numbers are pretty great, to be honest. And we have 5 bookings in the last 5 months. So 5 of our students. One is Victor, who is in Stranger Things on Broadway. And
We're hoping that he's actually in Stranger Things with my son, and we're hoping they're going to jump on tonight, but they're
and
in
he can tell you all of the amazing things and his experience about the school, because I can tell you all of my favorite things because I helped build it, so I'm biased. But sometimes it's great when you hear from a student that just had an authentic experience. The Wiz, we have a student in the Wiz tour right now. We have a student who's going to be the lead of Hell's Kitchen tour that's going out in the summer. And we also just had a student book the Sound of Music tour as cover Rolf. So yeah, we have a few final callbacks at the moment, as I said earlier on, for Outsiders and Juilliard and Heathers. So hopefully a few more bookings there. That's probably the biggest difference between us and other programs, is that we're really focused on getting our kids job opportunities. It's not for everyone. We're not a school for everyone. Some people need a 4-year experience, right? Some people need that time to go to college and figure out who they are and have a sorority or a frat or go to ball games and just have fun. But we're for those students that want to jump into work within the next 2 years. We move very fast, and we actually fit 90 credits into the 2-year program. So they only need 60 credits to graduate, but they end up graduating with 90 credits.
And Ricky,
they
for
go
the
to every
parents,
class.
sorry, there are some academic classes, right?
Yeah, so we
It is
have
an
gen eds.
accredited school, and
Yeah.
touch on the scholarships.
Yeah, we're required to have gen eds to be a degree granting institution. And so those credits are actually transferable. Some of them, it depends on which school you want to go to. I say some of them because there are different programs in different universities that will take our credits, some won't, and that's the same for every kind of institution. But you can actually take your 2 years associate's degree program and take it to like a BFA somewhere else if you want to extend your training there. So we do general education classes. We offer scholarships. At the moment, 100% of our students are on some form of a scholarship. Those range from $2,500 all the way to a full ride, which is $39,103, something like that. Yeah, so everyone's on a scholarship at the school currently. It's something that's really important to us. I'm not sure if we're always going to be able to do that, but that's something that Danny and I really sought out to make sure that everybody was on some form of scholarship. And we've been successful for the last 2 years, so let's hope that it keeps going. What else can I tell you about our school? We have 3 majors: a musical theater dance, musical theater for singer actors, and television and film. Again, we only take 16 students. And actually, a secret that I can tell you is today we got approved for a commercial dance major too. So not this year coming in, but next year we will have commercial dance, which will also be 16. That will involve no singing, no acting, some acting for the camera, just because we think that that's useful for commercial dance, but it will be very just dance focused. We're
And
a little bit
the
outside.
summer intensive, since we have
Yeah.
high schoolers, we're mostly talking to high schoolers. The summer intensive is super relevant for them. So guys, it's often great to do a summer intensive at one of these programs. It gets you on their radar and also improves your skills at the same time. So tell us quickly about that.
Yeah, so our summer program really is just a condensed version of what you would do at the school. You have the same teachers, the same classes. It's just basically a 2-week version of a school week. You'll also meet with agents during that time. We will bring in resident choreographers and directors of Broadway shows. So you'll work with those too. You'll have dance classes with myself, singing classes with the head of voice. And also you'll have television and film acting classes, even if you're not doing the television and film major. So you basically get to experience everything that the school has to offer just in a condensed 2 weeks. We have housing too. So if there are people in Connecticut that, around 35-40-minute drive, they don't want to come in every day and out every day. There's also Broadway shows that we go to during that 2-week program. Some like gatherings and social events. So some of the kids love to stay for the 2 weeks. So that's also an option for you if you want, but there's also the option for no housing. There's 2 different times. So I believe the first one is at the beginning of July and the second one runs from the end of July into just the beginning of August.
Awesome. All right. Well, you packed in so much.
Sorry, I love to talk. So
That's great.
yeah,
And if you guys want to know any more intel about these schools from parents, a great place to go is MT Parents on Facebook. And that's where you'll get all the gossip, all of which is good about no code. It's very hot on that page, but all the programs, it's a really good resource. You don't want to get too caught up in the craziness this time of year when offers are coming out and people are posting where their kids are getting in, and that can be crazy. But if you just pay attention to the useful information and topics in there, and you can message other parents and get the scoop, that's really great. And that's really where, I learned a lot about what you were doing, even though you were literally just right over there down the street. It's like, wait, what's this place in Norwalk?
I know we're like a well-known secret, but then also we're like, we want everyone to know about us. So I don't know.
It's happening. All right. Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm going to come see the play. Of course, hopefully Victor's going to be on later with Jamie. They're both in rehearsals for Stranger Things, and he wrote out his rave about NoCo, so I can read that even if he doesn't jump on.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, thank you very much for having me, and good luck everyone wherever you audition. If you come to our school, I can't wait to meet you and get to train with you. But if you go on to somewhere else, you're going to be the best and just have the best time.
Thank you.
Thanks
so
so
much.
Everyone. See you later.
Thank you, Ricky. Okay, I wish that I could say that I worked with our next guest. I haven't yet, but there's still time. It's on my bucket list. Marianne Hugh is the director of USC's musical theater program. Marianne has been in countless Broadway shows. I don't have time to list them all, but she's been in Disney's Frozen and Sunday in the Park with George, and she's been in television shows such as The Flight Attendant and Madam Secretary. Marianne, welcome, welcome. Hi, tell us about USC.
So USC's program is a very young program. Was started about 6 years ago. We've graduated 2 classes and we're just about to graduate our 3rd. We're heading into showcase season right now. One of the things that I think is unique about our program is that we're based in LA. And so you wouldn't think that that is like a musical theater hub, but there's so much theater in Los Angeles. I like to think of Los Angeles as a theater town that just doesn't know it's a theater town. So I guess let me talk about like the admissions process first. We do things a little bit differently at USC. We're on a different time schedule than most universities. We do pre-screens. So you have to fill out a Common App and you have to fill out an application for the university. And then we accept video submissions. And then from the pre-screens, we call back approximately 60 people to come back to callback weekend. And our callback weekend is structured I think differently than most places. We don't do Moonifieds, and we don't go out to the Unifieds or anything like that, because our schedule is on a different, like our application deadline is December 1st, so it's different from most schools. So our timeline just doesn't work to be able to go out and do those audition tours. So that's why we do pre-screens. So we invite 60 people back to callback weekend, and then we structure it very much like a workshop weekend so that it's an experience for the student or for the potential student. And we walk you through dance workshops, acting workshops, and music workshops. So it's a full weekend experience. And just as much as we want to find out if you're a good fit for us, you're actually looking at us to see if we're a good fit for you. Speaking to the aspect of being in LA, there is a lot of theater in LA, and we do have relationships with some of the regional theaters here. We have a relationship with Pasadena Playhouse here. We had the great fortune this year of placing like 15 of our students with 2 of their productions, and then the LA wildfires happened. So both of those productions got canceled, but we do have that relationship with Pasadena Playhouse and Center Theater Group. So there are things happening in theater also around and in and around the LA area where we have relationships.
Fantastic. I actually would love, since you are a true triple threat, I would love your take on students who have decided that they want to focus on being actors and the importance of staying in voice lessons and maintaining some dance technique and staying in shape as a dancer.
Yeah, I feel like you need to do it all. I have a very good friend who I met doing Broadway stuff, who transitioned into television, and the way he booked this, he booked this job, and he was on set, and he was trying to figure out, the director was working with him, and it was very like not martial arts, but there was a fight sequence, and he was trying to break it down, and the director was kind of like, I don't know if you're quite getting what it is. And then his musical theater training kicked in, and what he did was he broke it down by counts and then like for himself to make it work, and relied on his musical theater skills to translate into this like TV film world, and broke it down. And then the director was like, wait, how did you do that? And he goes, I just broke it down into like 5, 6, 7, 8 and like sections, and made it work for me that way. So that was like really relying on your musical theater skills to get you through this fight sequence in a TV film, on a TV film set. So I think you need to be able to do it all. You just never know what tool is going to serve you when. So my advice to you is to be open to doing everything. In musical theater, it's a fully integrated thing. I don't think of the 3 disciplines as 3 separate things. You have to be fully integrated and doing both equally all at the same time, if that makes sense.
That's great advice. Can you give us some advice based on your experience adjudicating auditioners? What people should be focusing on in their pre-screens, picking material, appearance, following directions, vertical versus horizontal, length of monologues, length of songs. Take it away.
Yeah, so read the directions. What's going to tell me about the kind of student you are is like how much attention to detail that you paid. I'm not looking for perfection. I mean, none of us, I don't think we aren't looking for perfection. It really is, or someone that thinks that they know what we want to see. We don't know what we want to see. What we want to see is who you are. So follow the directions first, because that's going to say a lot about like your attention to detail. But then really just show us who you are, and I'm interested in the person that has curiosity and that is looking to investigate material. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's perfection is not, it really, we get, I think as educators, we get where you are on your artistic journey, and you're just at the beginning of it. So really like choose material that you respond to and that you're really curious about.
Fabulous. Jill, do we have time for more?
I think we better move on to Aaron Brown, but that was so,
This is so helpful, Mary. I have so many things I want to ask you. If people have questions for Marianne or for the program, I will do our best to get answers for you, or we can put them in touch with you or Ramon, right?
Yes, amazing.
If people are coming to see you on campus, I can send them your way, and for one of you to have a face-to-face.
Yes, I'm very accessible. My email's on the website, and I try to respond to everything within 24 to 48 hours. Right now is as you know, is recruitment season, so it's a little busier, but I'm happy to answer any questions via email.
Fight on. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Brown from Texas State. I think you're in the house.
Yes, I am.
Hi, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
Thank you so much, and thanks for your patience. Aaron is co-head of musical theater at Texas State, and Broadway icon Caitlin Hopkins built this incredible musical theater program there. And congrats on recently taking over as co-head of the department, and tell us about the program.
Yeah, we were so grateful for what Caitlin built and the fact that she is still a part of the program. She still produces our showcase every year, and she is now doing work with our alumni to sort of continue our Bobcat legacy, where she's in New York, and so she will host alumni classes just to continue education with alumni after they graduated. So like we're really about the Bobcat family. Once you're in forever and ever, and so that's part of what we do.
Aaron,
This is really
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. Tell everyone what a showcase is.
Yes, yes. So a showcase is our opportunity to introduce our seniors to the industry. For us, we do it two ways. We'll do a digital showcase where we capture their material on campus that can live on our website, and it gives our students materials that they can share with casting directors for submit things for projects. But we also go to New York, and we will do 3 showcases. It's one of the most highly attended showcases in New York. Caitlin and Rachel Hoffman of Telsey Casting work on that showcase, and we present it to industry professionals so that they get a sense of who our Bobcats are and what they're about and the artists they are, so they can go get agents. And we've had a great track record of the entire class for the past few years have all been signed at the showcase. It's also a great chance for our freshmen to see the seniors and to see what the trajectory of the training is. That it's not just about being told how to sing and dance, but about developing your artistry. That is what we are about at Texas State. Not that you can just hit the mark, but you understand why you are hitting the mark in that specific way. We're all about the storytelling aspect and how they can be their unique selves in their story. Yeah, so that's showcase. Great question.
Yeah, on top of all of that, Texas State, as far as I know, Caitlin implemented it. I think it's still the case. All musical theater students get in-state tuition. Is that correct?
Yes, and she and Cassie have worked with our president, who's a big fan of our program, the president of our university, to raise that bar. And so now we do something called the Last Dollar Scholarship. And what that does, it creates a tuition-free experience for our musical theater students. So if you come and you have academic funds and you have some grants, let's say tuition is $12,000 a semester, or let's say 25 for the year, and you come in and you have $12,000 of scholarships, we will finish that off to finish the tuition. So we will pay the other 13, so you are not paying tuition. Room and board are still up to the student, but tuition will be covered by the last dollar. And so that's not if you got loans. This is hopefully to avoid loans and making musical theater education more accessible to people. So yeah, we really believe, Caitlin was a firm believer in, hey, we need to make sure that everybody has a chance to study musical theater and not just those that can afford it. And so we really wanted to, put our money where our mouth is, and walk the walk and talk the talk. So yeah, we did it our current freshmen got a surprise because that sort of went through after they had been selected. And then we're like, hey, we actually get to start this year. And so they and their parents were very excited about that. And then this current class that we are recruiting, the class of 2029, will also benefit from the last dollar scholarship. So it's an exciting new initiative. We're very excited to be able to do that part of accessibility in education.
Awesome. If you just have one key do and maybe one key don't for pre-screens or auditions, what would you say?
Yeah. I'm just going to go with do's because I think there's always a list of don'ts, and I don't think we ever tell people enough of what to do. And so I think one is don't try to play the guessing game with material. Like, I know there's always a list of don't sing these and da da da. Like, you should read, but also like do what sparks joy in you. I've so often seen people come in and then we're like, what else do you have in your book? And they pick this song that they thought no one wanted to hear, but it's a thing that lights them up. It's the thing that they become most activated, the most acting. You sense the joy in their performance. I'm like, why didn't you sing that song first? And they're like, well, I thought, you wanted to hear. It's like, don't guess what we want to hear. We want to see you be awesome. We want to see you light up the room. And so do that. The other thing I would say is like, don't be a musical theater robot. I can say for us at Texas State, we want people that are people, not people that come in and slate and only know about musical theater, but like people that are curious, people that are interested in other things and living a life and being an artist besides just what they sing and how they dance, how much to kick their face and how deep they go in their monologue. Those all matter, yes, but we also want to know if you bake cookies or if you do pottery or if you like to hike. We have a group of freshmen that go hike for fun, and we're like, yeah, go do that. We have an assignment in our freshman class that like go do something that's not related to musical theater, and it's a grade. They have to write about what they did that was not musical theater. It can be a football game, it can be hiking, it could be something, but it can't be musical theater, so that they are artists that have informed lives to draw from. So yeah, I'd see be a person and do material that sparks joy.
On that note, thank you
I love
so
that.
much. Super helpful, so important. And yeah, just have fun and find the joy that's important in this long process. Thank you for being here. We hope to have you back next time and really appreciate it.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a great night.
Thanks,
Best of luck to you
Aaron.
all deciding this.
You said it. It's like, this is supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, why not do it, right? Like,
Why?
it's supposed to feed the soul.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much. Our next guest is someone I've had the pleasure of working with. He's been my student since 2015. Cameron Mann, where are you?
So,
Hey. All right, so here's your intro. Cam has been working professionally since he was 10. He also is Jill's second son, one of many children of Jill's. He's been training with Triple Threat since 2015. He played Ryan Ross in the Mare of Easttown miniseries opposite Kate Winslet. He's got 2 movies coming out this year, Eddington with Joaquin Phoenix, Emma Stone, and Austin Butler, and another one in which he plays the lead, Greg, in Greg's Going to Rehab, in which he plays a stoner, and he is not a method actor, I'm happy to say. Cam, where are you now?
right now I'm in Toronto.
What are you doing in Ontario?
I have a chemistry test for an audition.
Oh, you
audition
gotta
chemistry
explain. You gotta
test.
explain what a chemistry test is, because it doesn't mean you're using beakers and Bunsen burners.
Right. So initial, like the first step of an audition is usually a self-tape. Then if they like you, they'll move on to, or this is how it's been recently. I guess before COVID, it was more in person. But after the initial self-tape, they'll bring you on Zoom, and then you'll read with the casting director or something. And then I guess one of the final stages is our chemistry reads, where you will go to the team in person and read with other actors that are being considered for other roles to see how you guys mesh together and to test your chemistry.
Fantastic. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
And talk to us about Cam's at University of Michigan. Talk to us about which degree you chose to pursue at Michigan and what's that been like for you. This is your freshman year.
I'm pursuing a BFA in acting. Hey, Dan. It's been an amazing experience. The program's not that big, so for being at such a big school, having a very tightly knit group of people that I'm friends with has been amazing. I'm very close with all of them. The classes have been great. I've been taking movement classes, voice classes, acting classes, and I've also had the opportunity to work backstage on the technical aspect. Yeah, during the first semester, I got to work on a movement piece, but not as an actor. I got to work behind the scenes. I got to sit in the lighting booth, and I did that with one of my friends who we were basically working together to do lighting and sound and stuff like that, which was really fun. I've never done that before. So I'm learning new things every day here.
I'm noticing your new short haircut. Tell us why. Tell us why you're sporting that cropped locks.
Yeah, in February, I was a part of A Few Good Men, directed by one of our professors, Jeff Packard, which was absolutely amazing experience. I had to shave my head, or I mean, I guess I chose to, but I shaved my head for the role because the production is about Marines. So I've never shaved my head before, but new experience. But the entire production process was insanely organized, from the costumes, from the lighting, to the actors who, just like, for example, looking at the seniors that were in the production, I could really look up to them because they had all their stuff together, especially the guy who played Daniel Kaffee. His name's Rohan. He was pretty insane, really good.
What production opportunities do you have there as an acting major?
Each semester, there are UProds, which are university productions.
Hey guys, I'm making an emergency interruption, if that's okay. Victor DePaula Rocha is in the Stranger Things play on Broadway, and they're rehearsing, and he just stepped out because he's not in a scene. So Cameron, we're going to put you on hold.
No worries.
We're going to quickly talk to Victor for a few minutes before he has to race back and do Demigorg stuff and all that. Victor, are you in the house?
Thanks, folks. We're going to try that again from Graham's line.
Hey guys, I'm Victor. Can you guys see me? Sorry, I'm not.
Yeah,
Okay.
We can totally see you.
Hey guys, I'm so sorry.
We can hear the
to
stage
interrupt.
in the background. It's super cool.
Yeah. Thankfully they're working something that I'm not involved in right now. But yeah, sorry if I had known that, I feel bad about kind of stopping the show. But yeah, hey.
We got to grab you while we have a moment. And we just had Ricky on from Norwalk Conservatory. So Victor did a
Is he
year.
still on here? Or?
No, I don't think
he left. Okay. Love that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. And Victor did a year at Norwalk Conservatory. And, just like Ricky was talking about, if they can launch their kids to Broadway.
On stage with Graham's line. Thank you.
During the process of when they're in school, they're happy to do that. So he has been rehearsing along with my son, who will totally forget to text me. So Victor will be the more helpful cast member of Stranger Things for us. They've been rehearsing since January. Are you okay, Victor?
Sorry. I was just switching rooms to a room where the monitors, the God mic isn't going.
Tell us about your experience at Norwalk Conservatory.
Yeah. They kind of found me. I wasn't really actively, seeking out a school. So it's very lucky that, they just kind of found me and kind of took me under their wing. And yeah, it was great. They accepted me into their MT dance major. There's 3 majors. So there's MT dance. MT stands for musical theater, MT performance, and TV and film. And yeah, I was accepted into MT dance, and I loved it for the time I was there. And yeah, I was there for a year. And then, when I gave them word that I had booked Stranger Things, they were like, yes, go book, do jobs. That was kind of one of the ways that they marketed themselves from the get-go. They were like, we are the one school that will let you, book jobs and, come back to us if you want to. But yeah, if you're not like constantly auditioning, like, what are you doing? That's what we want you to do. And it's great that they're so close to the city as well. It's just like a train ride away. It's like an hour, 15-hour, 20-minute commute on Metro North into the city. So yeah, I was, going into New York City for auditions all the time, and they were totally fine with it. And I was doing classes, and it was a good time.
And now you're doing very amazing things at the Marquee Theater. Everyone needs to go see Stranger Things on Broadway. It's the most wild show. I've seen it 3 times already. It is an amazing journey, and Victor does some very cool stuff in it. I'm not going to give anything away. But we'll jump back quickly to Cameron and then to Daniel and Victor. If you see Jamie, tell him we're around on the Zoom probably for like 40 more minutes.
Yeah, until 8:30.
He'll be like, what Zoom?
Right. Cool.
We so appreciate you jumping on, making time during rehearsal, and everyone find Victor on stage and at the stage door.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
All right, Cameron. Bye, Victor. Thank you.
Bye.
Cam, I
Thank you very much.
texted him his next question, so I'm going to mute and let him talk.
One of the parts of the acting program at Michigan that I love so much is that you have time to explore other aspects of the college experience. For a semester, I pretty much the entire time I was joining a fraternity, for those of you who know what that's like. You're also not allowed to audition for the UProds, which I think is extremely smart because it gives you time to settle into college, make friends and stuff without just jumping right into acting. I also have several friends in my cohort who are double majoring. I have a friend who's double majoring in neuroscience and acting. I've got a few friends in the business program and are also studying acting. So there's definitely time to explore other things to study and to do, just explore other parts of college.
Yeah, and for those of you out there, that's very difficult to do if you're a musical theater BFA. Their schedule is so packed full of rehearsals and so many different studio classes. There are a couple kids I know, they're doing musical theater and in a sorority, but even that's hard to do, let alone, double major. So acting does give more flexibility in that way. Cameron, we're going to move on to Dan. So thanks for jumping on. You're good. Cynthia, are you good with your questions for Cameron? Okay.
Thank
Daniel
you.
Cantor.
Hey, Cam. Hey, everybody. Hello, everybody. Next semester, Cam will be my student. I'm excited for that. So happy that you're at Michigan. One thing, Jill, you asked me to talk about is like what's unique about the program, and Cam sort of already answered it, so you sort of stole my thunder. But which is to say, the BFA acting program in Michigan, we describe ourselves, we are a BFA conservatory style program in a liberal arts context. So that means you get rigorous training. You have acting every semester, sometimes 2 acting classes. It's pre-professional. There's a showcase in New York, LA, Chicago, and a digital version of the showcase as well. We want to expand your artistry and set you up for the profession. And at the same time, 1/3 of the credits you need to graduate are outside of the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. So these are sort of gen ed liberal arts classes, most of which you completely control what you take. Subsequently, at Michigan, it's one of the few BFA programs in the country where you can have a second major, definitely a minor. And the reason we think this is important is that we're very proud of our training, and it's a highly reputable acting program, as you know, but also the University of Michigan is one of the best universities in the world. So anything else you want to study, you're studying with some of the best people in the world. Even if you don't want to have a second major, you want to take some English classes or some women's studies classes or some business classes. They're all happening at a really high level. And this we think is good for you, not only as a human being, but as an artist too. It informs your artistry, it imbues your artistry. And just as I think his name was Aaron from Texas State, as he was saying, you know, to be fed by and curious about other things is what makes you an interesting artist. So that's sort of our orientation, this dual offering of great training and great academics. And we want people who want that paradigm, who like, I want to study other things. I'm incredibly curious about so many things. I want to feed myself in many ways. And there's a third thing that Michigan offers, which is it's just a great college experience. Like, it's a great place to be in college. There's great, tremendous spirit. If you're into the games, which you may or may not be, I'm totally into the games, like the football and the basketball. It's amazing. You know, the athletes, so these are all future professional athletes, or many of them. So everything is happening in a really robust and muscular way. Great college experience, great academics, great training. And we say to students who get in, if you like this particular paradigm, this combination of things, Michigan is the best place in the country to go. Now, some people want a strict conservatory, and that's okay. And some people want to study theater more in a liberal arts context. They don't want the intensity of a BFA. That's also okay. But our synthesis, I think, is unique to us, given that all parts of the synthesis are offered at a high level.
And speaking of high level, Dan didn't even get his intro. He was in the original cast of Leopoldstadt, which won the Tony Award for the best play on Broadway. So just a little tidbit about you there. So we're talking, you know, rah football game spirit, but also amazing pedigree. Let's see, we have so much to cover.
I'm jumping to question number 3, the advice on picking monologues. That comes up all the time when I'm coaching people.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, first, I'm going to say everybody has their own opinion. And, you know, 5 experts are going to have 5 opinions. So I will again say, do something that is exciting for you, that you feel inspired by, that you feel you get. And by get, I don't mean that's my type. I mean, you get it because you get the rhythm, you get it intellectually, you get it emotionally. You feel like you can sink your teeth into it. I think something to be careful about are story monologues that can put you into a kind of a passive place if you're remembering a story. They're a trap, I think, because what we want to find in any monologue that you do is what's the active thing that's happening. That is to say, an actor vocabulary, what's your action? What's the verb? What are you doing? And to make sure that you're doing something rather than playing more mood or tone. What am I doing? And I will add to that you're doing something obviously to get something from the person you're talking to. So the most effective monologues are where that's right on the surface. You don't have to dig for it. It's not confusing. You're like, my character wants, I'm playing Antigone and she's saying to Creon, bury my brother. What do I want? I want him to bury my brother. It's right there. And to add to that, this is a very common trap that all actors experience, but particularly young actors, that we sometimes mistake the tone of being contemptuous for conflict, right? And I find it hard if I watch 2 pieces, and in each piece, the person's like, you're terrible, and I can't stand you, and you've been the worst dad I've ever seen. And the second piece is, you're the worst friend I've ever seen. Like, there are 2 pieces in which you're simply condemning someone, being contemptuous of them, looking down on them. It's not, it's an easy trap to fall into, but it's not an appealing energy to receive. Rather than saying to yourself, what does my character need right now? Even if I, like, say it's a breakup scene, 4,000 Mile, I want to break up with him, right? And he doesn't want to break up, but I still need something from him. I need his blessing. I need him to be okay. I need him to let go of me. What is the positive, the constructive thing that I need in the scene? And to tap into that rather than the negative, which is, I condemn you. Does that make any sense, what I'm saying?
It does to me all the time. I also am always encourage, I find that for young actors in an audition situation, whether it's for college or whether it's trying to get an agent, that they think they have to show people that they can act, and it has to be loud, and it has to be angry, and they have to sob, and they have to, and it just has to, and for my students who have only studied who have only done musical theater style acting, teaching them to be still and to listen and to feel, they after they do that, they're like, but I'm not doing anything. They don't think they're being, that it's enough, right? That's not enough. But playing opposite things, or, you know, playing against the anger with a smile, or putting a laugh in it, or like, right, like the subtleties that we do in real life.
Yeah, totally. And you know, and I will say that the whole range of human behavior, from the most affective big to the tiniest, most subtle thing, they all can have authenticity. And I think the thing that I was trying to express a second ago was, it's very easy to mistake the tone of anger for conflict and passion. And can you find a passionate action imploring someone, please, I need you to do this thing? Can you find the passionate action aside from just anger? That's the easiest way to feel like you're being passionate, but it's actually the most superficial layer. So can you go a layer under? What is the thing that you need underneath there? What is the vulnerability, even if you have a little more social power in that relationship?
Awesome. Thank you. I guess we haven't really covered when Cameron was saying it's a small cohort. How many kids? We're talking about 18 kids per acting class, right? We haven't really covered for this group that, although yes, you are picking the right place for your kid, you are doing that to much less of a degree than you are normally doing that in the college process. You have to cast a very wide net because so few students are selected for a lot of these programs. There's a handful of sort of bigger ones, but cast a really wide net and keep your options open, and don't get set on any particular school, even though Michigan football is the best. Go Blue. Anything, I periodically hear that for BFAs, really the audition is the most important piece. Is that the case? And what next? If you're going to say, what's the next most important thing after that?
Yeah. Well, I will say the audition, we pre-screen. So, and out of the pre-screen, I know at musical theater, they have, Catherine's here, she'll speak, they have more people who apply, and maybe they call back more than us, but we call back between 100 and 120 people. And that's mostly for in-person audition, although we have one day on Zoom for people who maybe are out of the country, or it's financially difficult for them to come to campus. But those are in live Zooms. But I say for the pre-screen, the audition is very important. Like if I don't, well, a few of us will watch it, committee watches it. If we feel the person isn't showing potential to be successful in the field in terms of their talent as we see it, they probably won't get called back. Ultimately, in deciding, given that our program has an academic element, you do have to be able to get into the university academically. I do we ask for a why acting video. And if anybody applies to Michigan Acting, I'm going to give you the inside scoop. Don't read off a script. Just think in your head, these are the things I want to say, and just speak as a person speaking to the camera. So that's interesting to me. What's your sensibility? And actually, in that answer too, I'm going to give you another tip. Just be really honest. You don't have to be like, I'm going to change the whole world. I'm going to save the world with my acting. Maybe you feel that way, but you might say, I really love it. And I love the camaraderie, and I love, just be an honest answer. And then an essay, why Michigan? And I'm sure a lot of schools do this. And here I want to give you all advice. Look at what that school does. What do they specialize? How do they frame themselves? Who are the teachers there? What are the kinds of classes? It's important to me to see that a person gets our model, which is some academics and some training, and that they want that. So, and then of course we meet them, and we're getting a good vibe, or they seem like positive and collaborative. And in the live audition, the capacity to make an adjustment is really important. And that's really when you enter into those auditions to think, they're going to ask me to do it differently. And I've got to be wide open and not be fixed on the way I've done it. And just to try it and see.
Great. Appreciate it. I'm going to have to jump over to your colleague, Catherine Walker. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Appreciate it, Dan.
Hi. Dan, thank you for setting me up so well. Because everything you said was, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So I don't know if I need to spend a lot of time talking about the university, because I feel like Dan did an outstanding job giving folks an idea of the university writ large.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know if I officially said he's the head of acting, and Catherine Walker is the associate chair of musical theater. And I just want to say that Catherine's shouted out every year in the UMich MT senior entrance. And if you don't know what the UMich senior MT entrance is, you need to go to YouTube and Google that. And then you'll hear all the raves about Catherine during that.
Oh,
Yeah, why don't we, do you want to talk about tips specifically for the pre-screens and the auditions, or material, or the program? You take it away.
well, I'll talk a little bit about the program because it's been undergoing some changes, and I think we're really proud of that. So first of all, in terms of size, we are accepting about 24 a year now. It's been creeping up, and that's pretty much the maximum where we can go to accommodate voice lessons. So that's pretty much the average class now.
And let people know every student gets weekly private voice lessons. Right?
Yes, exactly. And we have four voice teachers in our department now that are specialists in contemporary and musical theater music. So that's really nice because they can really focus on the techniques that are needed. And then it's a blended major, of course. I think everyone knows that. You have a singing, or I should say a music component. It's not just singing, music, acting, and dance. And so under the music umbrella, there's music theory, which I'm now teaching the first year class. And then we have an advanced music theory that folks can take if they were in AP theory in high school or whatever. And then we have an ensemble techniques class. It gives foundational information about anatomy and movement and breathing. And then they're all in voice lessons, and then they're all in dance, and they're all in acting. So all 4 years they're getting that training. And then the performance classes, the cohort is split in two. So the performance classes are no more than 12 in the class, which gives a lot of on your feet time in the performance classes. And there are 3 performance classes that are required going forward, and that is sophomore, junior, and senior performance. And then we also have a pop rock class that's taught by our chair, Cynthia Westfall. So we really run the gamut on that.
Cynthia right now is with Justin Paul and Benj Pasek, who are visiting the musical theater department. I don't know why she thinks they're more important than we are.
Yes.
Funny enough, Justin Paul's from Westport, Connecticut. Yes. So the reason Jamie from age 10 wanted to go to University of Michigan. So the small world, but
there you go.
Those are the kind of people that Justin went to University of Michigan, and Gavin Creel sadly passed last year.
Yes.
A lot of these big Broadway people, and they all seem to keep coming back working with the kids.
Yes, they do. And it was, in fact, we had a wonderful lab today with, so I got the students ready, and then Cynthia took them out to dinner. So it was one of those, we just did a big full circle today, and so that I could join you this evening. But in terms of the audition process, it is highly competitive. I'm not going to lie about that. We usually have between 1,500 and 1,700 applicants, and we're taking 24. We usually do live auditions between 450 and 550, just depends on the year and how it all goes. And then we do one virtual day, as Dan pointed out, and I'm really glad that we do that because I think it opens up accessibility for people that can't afford to maybe fly to every place that they're interested in. And then we also go to Chicago Unifieds, so that's really helpful too. People can check off a number of boxes at Unifieds. In terms of material, boy, I've been hearing such wonderful comments, both from Aaron and then also Dan, is when you walk in the room, and boy, it sounds so cliche to just say, be yourself, but it's true, really. Don't try to impress or sing your highest note, because it's going to sound like your highest note. It's not going to be in the most comfortable place and you're going to be nervous. So sing something you love, not something that your voice teacher loves. And that's really important because I can't tell you the number of times that someone will say, oh, I picked that because my voice teacher said it was an awesome song, but they don't love it. And when you walk in the room and you're that nervous, you really want to love the material you're working on and you want to be able to nail it at any time of the day or night. So it shouldn't be your highest note in the stratosphere. And
A lot of times people think they have to also pull together all new songs. But if you've been singing something for 2 years and it's your favorite song, like go for it, use it, right?
absolutely. And then try to have a variety. In other words, Dan said this earlier when he said, you don't want two like contemptuous, monologues where you're like a one-hit wonder of darkness. If you want like to do something upbeat and joyful, and then you do a slower ballad that's from a different decade. So you're showing some different colors of what you're able to demonstrate as an actor that sings. And I think that's really, really important. I try to encourage people not to pick really obscure remote things just to be edgy, because you don't want one cell of my brain off task thinking, wait, what is this from? Who wrote this? You don't want that going through my mind. You want me focused completely and totally on you. And I too don't subscribe to the don't sing lists. Now, if you sing something that's really popular and everyone knows it, you really need to nail it, but that doesn't mean you can't. As I have jokingly said, well, we would have taken him had he not sung Maria. Now, that has never, ever been said, ever in the history of the University of Michigan. Okay.
Can I hop on, Catherine? Sorry, because I
Yes,
want to say it
please. Yes,
myself
yes,
too. I
yes.
feel the exact same way about monologues. There's almost nothing I'm like, oh, I can't bear to see that anymore. Although I know people who say that,
Right.
but I don't
right.
say that because actually, if I have a point of comparison, I can really be like, wow, that person brought something I've never seen in that piece. Fantastic.
Bingo. Absolutely. So just do it really well. But that does not mean reinventing a melody like Come to Me, Bend to Me. Please don't do that. Please sing what's on the page, except for that high option at the end that everyone takes. What I'm finding is everyone wants to completely rewrite melodies and do all these Frank Sinatra alterations to and you're like, what are you doing? Do you know this melody? Please honor the Pasek and Pauls of the world who have taken great time to write this rep. And it's not necessarily inviting you to do options. So I want to really caution people on that. Now, pop tunes, that's another thing, of course. And I would suggest having a pop tune in your book. So have the two tunes that you're going to sing. Don't lead with those two tunes, but have a pop tune as a backup. So once you sing the two, if we say, hey, do you have anything else in your book? Do you have anything pop? That happens all the time. So I would not lead with the pop song as one of the two, and we will always let you sing two and one monologue. That's always
Yeah,
case.
that pop song definitely came up for Jamie pretty often in auditions. So that's important to have. Another thing to note is that Michigan is one of the schools that has an optional ballet pre-screen. And so if you are a ballet dancer, I think that's a bonus. And also all the students take ballet, right? All the musical theater students take ballet.
Two semesters of ballet, 2 semesters of styles, and 2 semesters of tap are required.
I know that's something Justin Paul always complained about, that he and Benj bonded in ballet class because
They were
neither of
terrible.
them could do ballet. So look what that's like, embrace your failures. Look how that is.
Well, what were they saying? They were saying that failure is the gateway to future success. They were just saying, and it's to freedom, the idea that you can be liberated from being worried about making a mistake.
Yeah, and I know that they said we weren't getting cast in the shows, and so we put on our own show and took it around the country, and there you go. Which, speaking of, the student-directed productions are phenomenal. So, having to be cast in the university productions, I've gone to, both, and they're all phenomenal. There's plenty of performance opportunities.
Absolutely.
I think that we need to wrap up, but that was so helpful, and thank you very much for
Thanks, Catherine.
Oh,
say
my
hi to
pleasure.
Cynthia and Benj and Justin and all those good people. And yeah, thank
I'm
you
going
so
to
much
dip out.
for
I
your
needed
time.
to see. I needed to listen to Catherine. Forgive my colleagues I've never met for leaving now. But and Jill, thanks for inviting me. And
They'll
nice
never
working.
know. They'll think you're still there. Just don't tell anyone.
I know, just boom, or pretend I'm frozen. If anybody has
Hi,
any
DC.
questions about the BFA acting program in Michigan, feel free to look at my email and reach out, and I'll happily answer them.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. It's
Yeah.
good to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely. See ya.
Much.
And same thing for me. If anyone has any questions, I have a really easy email. It's catwalk@umich.
I
So
love that.
it's
Catwalk.
super easy. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Okay, guys, I am very honored to introduce to you Keith Contreras McDonald. He's a Juilliard acting graduate, and he graces us with his wisdom every week by teaching triple threat classes for us. Keith has been working professionally since he was a kid. And his resume, again, like many of our panelists, is way too long to list, but he is still working professionally in addition to being an educator. And an interesting fun fact about Keith is that he turned down Carnegie Mellon Musical Theater to go to Juilliard. So we'd be interested to hear about your choice, what your options were and why you chose the way you did. And your wife chose another path. So why don't I turn it over to you, and you can talk about the different ways that people can pursue their dreams.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. And yeah, and I love being a triple threat. I've been there for a handful of years now, and they're sort of my gateway drug to education. So also, if you have any questions about Mich, please email me at triple threat. No, I'm just kidding. I know it's a long Zoom, so I gotta make some jokes. We gotta liven it up, shake it out a little bit. But if you have any questions about Mich, please email me. I didn't apply. So like I said, I've been working at Triple Threat. I'm a kid who knew nothing about this process. Even the Zoom that you guys are on is so much more knowledge than I ever did. I ran into a guy who was 2 years older than me at a Starbucks when I was either summer before senior year or early senior year. And I said, "Hey, you guys go to Carnegie. I want to do that." And he's like, "Okay, let's sit down and talk about it." So we did. And that was my only education. And then I looked up good acting schools, people that won Oscars. And I was like, okay, I'll just go there. Happened to do a commercial that paid enough money for me to fly me and my mom to Chicago to do Unified and pay for the hotel and pay for most of my applications. So I was able to like fund my own little project. And so my parents couldn't really, so this is key to getting around the parents, pay for it yourself. And then they can't tell you no, because I was like, "Mom, we have this flight that I bought." And she's like, "Okay." And I have this hotel reservation that I bought. So anyway, so that's a fun way to get around parental no's. And parents, as you're going through and you're like, "Oh, this BFA, this BA, am I committing my child to a life of poverty? Maybe, or not." That's the beauty of it, right? It's you're committing to art, and you're committing to art creation. And you're going to be a huge part of that as a parent, because they're going to need a lot of support, because it's art making, and that's what we're working on. So I wanted to talk about looking at schools, so picking schools. What are we looking at? We're looking at schools that what do they do at the end of the 4 years or 2 years? Norwalk Conservatory talked about Norwalk was talking about getting ages in the first couple of months. Are there showcases in LA, Chicago, New York, digital? Do they have showcases? Where are they? What are they doing? What are those alumni doing? How many people are getting signed? How many people are working? Do I need to get an MFA after that? Because there's some really great programs at liberal arts schools in the Midwest where it's a great BFA, a great BA, and I'm probably going to need to go to NYU, Yale, or Juilliard after that, right? Realistically, the odds are crazy, right? So you're talking about 2,000 applicants to the Juilliard drama program. They're going to take, mine was 16. That's a mix of graduate students, and there were 5 undergraduate true college freshmen. I was one of the 5. So don't cry if you don't get in. It's just not the day. It's like professional auditioning, right? You're going to throw stuff out there. Cynthia mentioned that my wife, we met through some mutual friends who went to Interlochen. I teach at Interlochen now. But my wife went to the acting program at Carnegie Mellon. So I feel like I got the Carnegie Mellon experience, even though I didn't go for musical theater, but that was a choice, right? So either go to Carnegie Mellon for musical theater, where they take 12 at that time, or Juilliard, where they take 16. And I think my dad was the one that said, like, hey, where are you going to end up when you're done with this? And I was like, well, probably New York. I was like, well, let's go there now. And I do miss, I do musicals. And I think I missed some like dancing and singing classes that I would have really enjoyed, but I wouldn't trade my decision for the world. I think it was great. Getting ready for that kind of deal, picking pieces. I thought Daniel said about what speaks to you, and I think that's so true. There's so much material out there. You got to find something that speaks to you, that feels right, that feels like your story, that feels like you get it in that way, and that you're creating a package, right? A 5 monologue package for the auditioners. Aaron talked about, like, we want you to be a human being. That's how I see it too. And I think that's how I saw it. I think I accidentally talked about normal stuff when they're like, oh, what do you like to do? I wasn't like, well, I go to musical theater class on Friday and then I go to dance, etc. I was like, well, I really like playing football. That was cool. Basketball's another passion of mine. Fishing, like this dumb stuff. But they were probably like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is a real human being. And I wasn't trying to impress them. I just honestly felt that way. But I was also actively working as a kid on sets. And I think, that helps a lot too. And so picking your packets that speak to you, you're presenting your artist. It's like a artist presentation, right? And so you and the school link up and they go, hey, we like your presentation. You say, I like the way you responded to my presentation. And then we can do business. There's no point in going to school that doesn't respond. I always say, because I work a lot in comedy, if you don't think what I think is funny, we shouldn't be working together, because I think it's funny, right? So you're doing me a favor by passing on me, right? Don't accept me and then not think my work is funny. So that's really, really important. Jill and Cynthia were asking me to speak about classical monologues and classical training, because that is a specialty of mine. And I want to say that you got to read both contemporary and classical. Got to read. Look at the language that they're saying, right? If they say Shakespeare, you got to do Shakespeare. I think another person spoke about, did you do what's on the page? Did you follow the directions? If they speak about heightened text, if they speak about classical monologue, that doesn't necessarily mean Shakespeare. Don't just go, oh, I got to do Romeo. Oh, I got to do Juliet. That actually might be the wrong move. There's some really great writers, Moliere, Marlowe, Greeks, etc., that have heightened text, right? There's books and a lot of stuff that you can dive into that are wider than Shakespeare, that might have the same experience, right? That might be going through the same things Juliet's going through. Antigone was mentioned earlier, things like that aren't those things. So keep a wide scope there. You don't have to find the home run. You totally can do Juliet or Hamlet, but like maybe there's something better, right? I called the head of Juilliard a few years after I got out, and I said, why did I get in? Why did my friends get in? It makes no sense. The odds are impossible. I can't believe we did that. And he told this really concise story, and he said, well, someone a long, long time ago, 1500s, 1600s, wrote a play. You didn't exist. You weren't a thought. Nobody cared about you, right? They wrote a play. It was a story. You found that play. You read that play. You empathized with that character. You presented that material, and it sounded like that play was written for you, even in its archaic language. And I was like, what? That's it? We just made text sort of come alive and sound like real people. And he's like, that's exactly. And I was like, so out of like 2,000 people, like 16 people can do that? And he said, yeah. And I was like, okay. So at the very least, that's all we're trying to do. And then, like, one of the big things I'm always saying when we're working on monologues, when I'm working on scenes, especially it's a scene. I really, and I think musical theater could take a piece of this too. And I thought this way because I was an actor first, learned singing and dancing later. There are scenes where the other person doesn't speak, right? So if you're doing a musical theater solo, the other person just hasn't spoken yet. If you're doing classical or contemporary piece, you're actually engaging in a scene. The other person's fully there, fully alive. They're just not speaking. And so that's really what I want to emphasize in terms of like, I think my acceptance and things like that is such an anomaly and luck and all these wonderful things. But I do think I was working on in high school, I was working on this idea of bringing text forward as truthfully and as like honestly as possible, both song and monologue. And I think even we had Rocker, I think, was talking about the dance. Even in my dance audition for Carnegie Mellon, CCM, things like that, I was trying to bring that. That's all I knew, and I knew I wasn't that great of a dancer, but I could like bring that part, the storytelling part, to the dance call. So yeah, and I think being yourself and having a great time is another huge part of it.
Awesome. Thank you, Keith.
Thanks,
Keith
Keith.
does college prep coaching for us, as of course Cynthia does, and they are amazing. I think as long as Piper and Cooper can hang on a little bit, I'm going to have Jenny Mersine jump on now. Jenny Mersine from Tulane acting.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Thank you.
Jenny.
Thank you for having me. Hi, Jill. Hi, Cynthia.
So Jenny is associate professor in the Department of Theater and Dance at Tulane. She has a BA in theater from Yale, just a small little school that's not hard to get into or anything like that. An MFA from University of Washington. She was in New York for decades, acting and auditioning. Hold on, I'm admitting someone. And she also, very early on was starting to write and teach, and is now writing and producing and teaching and all those things that give an actor tremendous security in a career that's not that secure. So yeah, take it away, Jenny. You could talk about Tulane's program, and then we'll talk a little bit more about, the choosing a BA.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I am fortunate in that I knew I wanted to be a teacher before I knew I wanted to be an actor. So it was always in the sort of long-term goal for me to become an educator. And so I'm so grateful that I've landed in a place. It's really a dream come true because I'm at what's called a Research One institution, a liberal arts college, but my research is my work as an actor and a writer and a producer. And I'm lucky to be in New Orleans, where there is a theater scene and film and television. So it can be a wonderful, this is thinking long term about your career, but it can be wonderful to know that, working in this field, if you end up in academia, the work that you do on television counts. It counts towards your research profile. At Tulane, we have an undergraduate BA program. So it's not a BFA. There is a BFA in musical theater at Tulane. Before I was at Tulane, I was at UCSB in Santa Barbara, and it was the same situation. It's a funny thing in a lot of schools. You have theater and dance are one department, and then music is another department, and musical theater lives in music. And yet there's a lot of collaboration between the departments. So we do have a BFA in musical theater, but a lot of the musical theater students come over and they take dance classes with us and they take theater classes with us. I always wanted to teach in a BA program. My undergrad at Yale was a BA. And, I think if you know what you want at a really young age, and you are like eyes on the prize, Jamie Mann is a great example. And I'm sure there's many others who have been on this call or who you all know, where a BFA can be a great thing because, you know what you want and you're going to be on Broadway before you even cross the commencement stage. But for a lot of people, doing an undergraduate degree where you could be a double major or you can take a lot of different classes can be a wonderful way to just expand your imagination and expand your skill set so that when it doesn't, just because you don't go to, get that BFA doesn't mean you're not going to have a rich and wonderful career. In some ways, it can support that even more. So I would just encourage you, students and then parents, to think about adding one or two, if you're dead set on the BFA, add one or two BA programs to the list just to kind of put it out there into the universe because you never know. what might end up feeling right to you. And it might feel right to you when push comes to shove. You might get that great offer from Carnegie Mellon, but you also might get an offer from Tulane, or, and you might decide, I kind of want these 4 years to take great classes. And at Tulane, we have an amazing faculty. But you do admittedly have more time to not only pursue other interests academically, but I mean, not like you can't go to football games at Michigan, you can, but you get a little bit more of a full college experience, and you're not quite so pre-professional. Prior
And
to coming here, I'll just say one more thing, Jill, is that I did teach for 7 years at AMDA in New York. So I definitely know what that super intense conservatory life is like. And yeah, I think it's great to give yourself a lot of options.
definitely. And I think it's important to note that casting directors are not going to care if you have a BA or BFA. They were not going to look at that at all. There might be a little bit of help as far as your network of people from your school, and maybe there's a Mich musical theater person who works at Telsey. I think there is, but there also are all kinds of people in Jenny's network, and you hear over and over that directors want interesting people, right? And so learning in a BFA environment, absolutely just as valid. We do have a student coming on to talk about that. I also want to mention this super cool project that Jenny has helped create called Role Play, which is making was at South by Southwest. It's making the Film Fest circuit. It's this amazing stage piece, which they also did a documentary of it. And if anyone gets a chance to see Role Play, go see it. Jenny, tell us quickly the elevator summary of Role Play.
So Tulane, like many colleges and universities, they did a climate survey that revealed some startling statistics around sexual violence on campus. And as disturbing as that was, what was actually inspiring was for me as a professor to hear the student body so galvanized and so demanding change. And I thought, as a theater maker, how can I empower these students to use their art for change? And so I collaborated with a local theater company called Goat in the Road, and we got 11 students together, and we spent a whole year devising a play about the culture on campus. And that included not just issues around sex and consent, but also on power dynamics and mental health struggles and drinking culture and party culture. And we created this piece that was 100% written by the students. It was improvised and devised and created by the students, that really reflects students' lives in their own voice. And the play is both uplifting and thought-provoking. And we published it. And it's been produced twice at Tulane. They just did a production at LSU, which is really exciting. And we did this documentary about it as well. And so we are in the festival circuit, and we just played at Duke 2 weeks ago. We're going to be going to Northwestern coming up, screening again here in New Orleans. So I will keep Jill posted, and she can send out information if and when we're screening next near you all. But I hope you have the opportunity, students and parents. It's a great way to start conversations around issues on college campuses that I think everyone you're already thinking about it in high school. The truth is, it starts in high school, is just knowing, not only knowing about boundaries and consent and having open conversations, but also, I think, for everyone on this call, a really inspiring look at how, as artists, and this is Jill mentioned that I write. The other plug I'll just put in is that there's really no such thing as just an actor anymore. And you know that, and you see that modeled in Cynthia and so many other people. And that wherever you get your education, I just empower you to start thinking like, I'm going to act, and maybe I'm going to direct too, or I'm going to act and I'm going to write my own work, and I'm going to act and I'm going to produce. I mean, I never thought I'd produce a documentary. But the more you can do to foster, and then the last thing I'll say, and then I know I'm over time, is that I firmly believe that whether it's a BFA or a BA, these skills transfer across so many industries, and even more so now in the age of AI. Because the truth is, AI can do what almost any, like better than so many things. AI can make a spreadsheet better. It can make all these things. The only thing AI will never be able to do is listen and respond, display empathy, collaborate with others. And those are all the things that theater teaches you. And so if you decide after 2 years out of your BFA that you don't want to do this anymore, you can get a job at a law firm. You can get a job in investment banking. You can get a job in consulting, in marketing. You have the skills that will make you such a great collaborator. So you will never regret your theater degree.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenny. I've seen role play not once, but twice. All right.
That's a great place to end. Thank you, Jenny. It's good to meet you.
I'll put my email in the chat if anyone has questions about Tulane. And
awesome. I think we might get cut off at 9. So I want Cooper Sadler to jump on and Piper Clerman following him. Cooper, are you out there? I know we're a little behind.
I'm here.
Hey guys, sorry. You got 4 minutes each before the Zoom shuts down.
Yes.
Hi, Cooper.
So Cooper, NYU acting freshman. He's a longtime triple threat student and also my surrogate kid because he's nicer than my kids. So a fantastic hip hop dancer. And he is going to tell us a little bit about the NYU acting program, which is a little different because it's big and it has different studios. So tell us that, Cooper. Tell us about that.
Yes, I will. I'm on the clock. I gotcha. Don't even worry about it. So NYU acting, what's different about NYU acting is it accepts relatively like 500 to 530 people a year. And the way that it works is there are multiple studio systems within the program. So it's unlike Juilliard or Carnegie Mellon or Mich, where it accepts roughly 16 to 30 people, but rather it's a very, very large program where you get to sort of meet different students and have the opportunity to work with them and create those really valuable connections early on in professional careers. So we have something called a studio system, which is after your audition, if you are accepted, you get placed in one of a number of studios that happen or that are within the school, right? So there's the Stella Adler Studio of Acting, there's the Lee Strasberg Film and Theater Institute, there's the Sanford Meisner Institute, there is the Atlantic Acting School, Playwrights Horizons, Experimental Theater Wing, which I am in currently, and then there's the new studio on Broadway, which is musical theater. And then there are also 2 like upper level advanced programs, which are Stone Street and Classical, which that's film and TV, and then their theater program. So after you're accepted, you're placed in one of these studios. You spend your primary training there, which is your first 2 years of college. And then after that, you have the option to transfer or study abroad.
And you don't get to pick the studio, right? You're placed in the studio, although I know it kind of came up in your audition. Any tips from, are auditions for NYU always in person?
No, they are not. They are either virtual or in person. Yes, yes. Be you. I know that's said like all the time, but truly be yourself, be truthful to your work. And that is what they're looking to see. They're looking to see unconventional. They're looking to see fun. They're looking to see open. You know, that fits with a lot of the studio curriculum. And you also have to believe in yourself and believe that what you've got is gold, right? So don't try to, I know what so many people do is they try to like act like a version of themselves, like what they think the auditioners want, but that really never works. You know, one of my friends, I love her so much. She had a Zoom audition and she had hers at 8 a.m. and she was lying in her bed and she just kind of had the covers pulled up and she's like, now don't do this, obviously, but it's like, she was just, I'm here, I'm ready to work, I'm doing our time. Let's go. Life is beautiful. And she got in because they were super interested in her and it was very different, right? So maybe don't do that, but be open to being human because at the end of the day, that's who you're playing, right? And trust yourself. So
that's awesome and very nicely done under time. Thank you, Cooper.
Thank
we love
you.
you. Watch his career, young Nicolas Cage. Piper Clerman. Hopefully we still have. Hey, Piper, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Great. So Piper just got the amazing news that she got into USC BA in acting, which was her first choice. So she's an incoming freshman in the fall. She also got into Chapman's screen acting program. She coached with Keith, and her tapes were amazing. I edited them, and I just kept editing and editing and watching them because she's, I mean, just magnetic. So she had the choice to do an amazing BFA program. Super academic. There's a lot of kids on here, I'm sure, who are talented and smart. Piper is also a professional actor as a kid, so she had a lot going for her. Tell us why you wanted to go with BA.
Yeah, so I love Chapman's program, specifically that it was screen acting. That's what I'm interested in, doing film and television. And I also liked it was a small program, 14 kids. But ultimately, I chose USC because in the BA program, I can study abroad. I want to go to London and study acting there. And I also wanted the academics. As Jill said, I want to maybe minor in journalism or political science, and having the option to have the free time to do that. Whereas in a BFA at USC, you can't go abroad, you can't really double major with the workload. So being able to have the option to still do other things that I love, such as journalism, was ultimately what I was looking for, and just the school spirit was a huge part of it as well.
Any advice? You juggled the BA and BFA application process, which is a ton of work. Any advice on how you managed all of that?
Yeah, don't rush it, and also having schedules for yourself. The best thing that I did was saying I want to get these 3 schools done this week, these 3 schools done the following week, and being ahead of it. I think the best thing that you can do is start in the summer. Do as much as you can in the summer, because the second school starts, you're going to have all that homework and you're going to have to tackle it all at once. So the best thing that I did was picking my monologues in the summer, memorizing them in the summer, trying to film certain things as early as I could, and also writing my essays as soon as possible. I had my personal statement done in the summer. I had started all my supplements in the summer, because the second school starts, you also want to keep your grades up. So it's really important to just get everything done while you have that free time.
Yeah, and a lot of these kids are in shows too in the fall, so it gets really crazy. Time management is huge, and if you're auditioning for musical theater, you really need to start in the spring with selecting material. I have a couple closing comments. So Piper, I just want to say congratulations again. She has the cutest
Thank
video
you.
of finding out that she got into USC. Is one of my favorite things I've ever seen. One of Jamie's tips, he's my son who's in Stranger Things on Broadway. Be kind to everyone. Students have gotten rejected from schools because they were rude to the student auditors or other auditionees in the waiting room. Students who would have gotten in had they not exhibited those traits. So everywhere that you are on a college campus or any of these auditions, waiting rooms, be nice to everyone. I think that's crucial. Cynthia, do you have any parting words?
No, I'm just so grateful for all our panelists, our students, our educators, everybody who gave their time today. Thank you collectively. I think this is just a gold mine of information, and I hope you've all gotten something out of it. I know it was long. I'm going to shut up now. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks, Jill. I couldn't do this without Jill Mann.
Big legs.
All right, guys, be well. Thank you. Good luck to all of you on your journeys.